Day number 1, grievance debate.
Does anyone have a grievance?
I do, Deputy Speaker.
The member for Cowper.
Deputy Speaker, I grieve for the people in my electorate because of the 150 jobs that have gone as a result of the failure of the government to proceed with the Centrelink call centre. This government alleges that it is concerned for the people of Australia. This government alleges that it is concerned to create opportunities, but in fact what we have is we have a regional area with high unemployment, with great need, and they curtail a project that was going to create great benefits. It was going to create great benefits not only for the people who receive those jobs, but it was going to create great benefits for Centrelink customers. And we all want to provide better services for the customers of Centrelink. How can failing to upgrade our call centres provide better services for the people who need it from Centrelink? It's a pure hypocrisy by the people on the other side to say they claim to care for the people who use Centrelink services, but at the same time fail to proceed with an important upgrade, fail to allow jobs to be created in regional areas, an upgrade of our call centre services, faster, more efficient services. We hear all the time in our electorates that people want better services for Centrelink, and the previous government was committed to deliver that. But in its first action, its backside's barely on the Treasury benches, and they cut services to Centrelink. They cut the ability of Centrelink to provide for the people whom they are supposed to look after. It's an absolute disgrace, Mr. Deputy Speaker. It's an absolute disgrace, and I can't believe, particularly these new members opposite, how does the member for Bass feel to come into this place and her first legacy in coming into this place is to deliver the loss of— She's not even here to deliver the loss of jobs in her electorate. I can see her newsletter now, Mr. Deputy Speaker. 150 jobs slashed from Bass. Hear, hear. I see the members opposite cheering 150 jobs lost in Bass, as well as the 150 jobs lost in my electorate of Cowper. It's a disgrace, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and these expansions of call centres in regional areas make sense for a range of reasons. They make good economic sense as well as good service delivery sense, because we have in regional areas a supply of labour available to do a range of tasks, but currently in many cases underemployed. But a call centre would draw on a currently perhaps underutilised labour force. But what do we have this government doing? It's not creating opportunities in regional areas. It's not looking to improve the unemployment situation in regional areas. What we have them doing is ripping jobs out of regional Australia, and the member for Bass didn't bother to front on the RDO. I'm here putting the case forward for my electorate. The Prime Minister's not here. The Prime Minister isn't here. We want the Prime Minister here.
The member for Cowper will resume his seat. 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 The member for Cowper will remove himself from the House under Standing Order 94A for ignoring my call. And I call the Leader of the House.
Thanks, Madam Deputy Speaker. As the Leader of the Opposition knows, the Prime Minister is today visiting Indigenous communities in Walgett and then visiting flood victims in Mackay. That is what the Prime Minister is doing today. And this extraordinary breach of the protocols of this House that the member here is continuing on, I ask that you take action on this disorderly conduct.
The Leader of the House, the member for Warringah.
I presume, Madam Speaker, you're about to sit him down.
No,
because
I'm
that
about to ask the member for
order.
Canning to remove himself from the House.
Madam Deputy.
I've asked the member. I've asked the member for Canning to remove that from the House. You know, so do I. I'm in the chair, and you will hear me. And you haven't heard me. I'm actually in the chair, and I will be heard Under previous rulings, such articles have been asked to remove from the House. I'm asking the member for Canning to remove that from the House. I haven't made, for the member for North Sydney, I haven't made a ruling. I've asked for the offensive article, for the article to be removed. For the article, but it is offensive. That is for the article to be removed from the House. Sit down. Sit down. The Leader of the House will resume his seat. And I'm on my feet. I'm on my feet. You're not helping. The member for Werriwa, I am on my feet. I have asked for that to be removed, and it will be done so. The member for North Sydney.
Madam Deputy Speaker, yesterday the Speaker of this parliament said, and I quote, "The use of props is not encouraged, but it is tolerated." And we have had all week the Deputy Prime Minister coming into this place with props.
The member for North Sydney.
If your own Prime Minister.
The member for North Sydney. The Leader of the House.
We're going to get to him on a Friday.
The member for Patterson. The Leader of the House.
Perhaps, Madam Deputy Speaker, given that the Leader of the Opposition gave a commitment on behalf of the Opposition just an hour ago that we would have private members proceeding, we can proceed with it now and stop the nonsense.
Leader of the House. Order! The member for North Sydney.
Madam Deputy Speaker, to provide absolute clarification to the House, we have had the Deputy Prime Minister introduce props to the House during the course of debates. And yesterday, I have a right to be heard. Yesterday, Madam Deputy Speaker.
What's the point of order?
Yesterday, in a debate before this chamber, the Leader of the House.
The member for North Sydney will resume his seat. The Leader of the House.
Well, what is this? On what basis? On what basis
Order!
does the member for North
The
Sydney?
Leader of the House will be heard in silence.
On what basis does the member for North Sydney have the call?
The member for North Sydney on a point of order.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the point of order
is
to remind the Chair of the Chair's words yesterday. The use of props is not encouraged, but it is tolerated. The simple point is,
the member for North Sydney will resume his seat. The member for Cowper.
We have questions.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, because my people have the right to expect their government is here to hear their concern.
The member for Cowper will resume his seat. He's on grievance. I've called him on grievance. And I have actually asked the member for Cowper to remove himself from the chamber, as he did ignore my rulings before. I did, and I let it go on, but I actually did ask the member for Cowper under 94A. The members will resume their seat. I had called him and I was going to remind him. I had let it go on, but I actually asked him to remove himself from the chamber because he had been ignoring the chair.
On what basis?
On the basis that I'm in the chair, and at the time you're ignoring the chair. I asked you to remove yourself under 94A.
What's the offence?
I must confess I did.
Please remove yourself from. And I let it go on, and now I'm asking you and your feet to remove. No, you do not have the call. You remove yourself under 94A. The member, Leader of the House.
Mr.
The member
Speaker.
is named. The member is named.
I move that the member be suspended from the House.
Division? The question is that the motion be agreed to. All those opinions say aye. Against? No. Is division required? Yes. In accordance with Standing Order 113, the division is referred until the commencement of the next sitting. The member will remove himself from the chamber. 94A, you do not have the call. The member, you are, but you're not entitled to yell at me until I give you the call. The member for Warringah.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, there has been no resolution of the House.
Can I just ask you to sit down? The member for Gilmore will remove herself from the chamber on the basis that I found that offensive and a reflection on the chair. The member for Warringah.
Let's divide on that.
No, come on. Please resume your seat. I will call the member for Warringah when the member for Gilmore. The member for Gilmore has been in this place long enough to know that she has been reflecting on the chair. The member for Leader of the House.
Madam Deputy Speaker, since Federation, Mr. Speaker, Madam Deputy Speaker, this Parliament functions on the basis of respect for whoever is in the chair. Respect for whoever is in the chair. And Madam Deputy Speaker, I am very familiar with Standing Order 94A. Very familiar, Madam Deputy Speaker, because over the last term, on more than 190 occasions, members of the then opposition were asked to leave the chamber. Not once,
the Leader of the House.
Not once was that questioned. Not once, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I asked the Leader of the Opposition.
The Leader of the
House. Leader of the Opposition to show leadership.
The Leader of the House will resume his seat. The Leader of the House will resume his seat. The member for Warringah.
Well, Madam Deputy Speaker, if we can return to the matter that you were previously dealing with and where you indicated that you would give me the call, the point of order I was raising is that no resolution of the House has been carried. No resolution of the House has been carried, and on that ground you cannot ask the member for Cowper to remove himself.
The member for Warringah will resume his seat. As was discussed earlier today, you may not be happy with the new standing orders, but they were put in place prior to coming into the House today. I am operating under the standing orders as they apply today. The member for Brisbane.
On the point of order that was raised by the member for Warringah, he was, I assume, referring to the naming and the suspension that would follow for 24 hours. Prior to that event, you had, quite properly in accordance with Standing Order 94A, requested the member for Cowper to leave the chamber. 94A in part reads, "The direction shall not be open to debate or dissent, and if the member does not leave the chamber immediately, the Speaker can name the member under the following procedure." The following procedure was the subject of the division. The prior requirement under 94A for the member for Cowper to remove himself for 1 hour is not open to debate, and everyone in this chamber knows that, and it has been obeyed without exception by anybody from the time it was inserted under Speaker Martin. And I would therefore suggest that the member for Cowper should remove himself for the hour, as has been the practice ever since that standing order was put in place, without exception.
The member for North Sydney.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the member was named. You asked for a vote. The vote on the voices was challenged. A division was called for. No division was held. Therefore, no decision of this chamber has been made. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, the member has a right to be heard. If the government doesn't have the numbers on the floor of the chamber, it should give it to someone else.
The member for Cowper will remove himself from the chamber. The member for Cowper's refusal to leave the chamber places the chair in an untenable position. The sitting is suspended until the ringing of the bells.